Hey, how's it going? I'm probably going to cover a few topics or make a few different videos today because there's a couple things that are pretty important here, and I think it's important for people to recognize exactly where their position is and remember your body and your rights of your personal self and your personal autonomy. As we look here, this is one of the headlines for Los Angeles Times. Los Angeles Times, to me, so far, seems like kind of one of those extremist news sources. There seem to be plenty of them. More than 90% of all news sources come from a small group of owners who own all these different broadcasting and news sites. Now, one thing I want to go into here is for people not to forget their rights. And remember, the government, no matter what, cannot tell you what to do, ever. Especially when it comes to your body. If someone's breaking the law and it affects someone else's personal body or health, that's a different thing. But when it comes down to these vaccinations and these shots, we already have the data, and we already have the information, and we already know, like, this is a fact where taking a vaccination will never prevent someone from spreading something, and it's not going to change the outcome of somebody else's decision. And it's important to remember that, because there's a lot of people who don't understand how these work, and they're really selfish, and they're trying to force other people to do things to their body because they want something in particular for themselves. And I've seen this across the board, from my Facebook to Twitter to the news to pretty much anything that is public media. People seem to have such confusion, and they're really more based on their own personal preference and what they want other people to do for them, because they're very selfish people. Let's be clear about this too. Let's not have any false information going on about this disease or this vaccination, because it's extremely important, to be completely honest. Taking the vaccination does not prevent you from getting ill or getting sick, does not prevent other people from catching it or getting sick, does not prevent the spread of anything at all. In fact, we're seeing numbers, 2/3 of people who are getting infected have already actually been fully vaccinated. And depending on what time that is, that's 2 to 3 shots, including the boosters. And now there's talk about pushing a 4th one. And that's kind of a separate, maybe I'll go into that too, about some of the nonsense there is there. But I think it's really important to understand your personal rights. There's a couple things, like, for instance, the Second Amendment. The government has absolutely no say or control over you and taking away your weapons. And remember that you have the Second Amendment, and you have the right to defend yourself with deadly force if necessary, no matter what law Congress tries to pass. There's no way around that. It's in the Second Amendment. And your rights can't be infringed upon, no matter what law they come down and try to bring. So remember that. You have the right to defend yourself and this country from a tyrannical government with deadly force, if need be. So remember that. Another thing, too, is nobody can tell you what your personal or religious beliefs are. So it's important to remember that if someone tries to make you present proof that you are religious of any kind, because they want to demand you do certain things, whether it's in a workplace or any other place, it's none of their business. That's why we have the First Amendment and freedom of religion. Is no one can come up to you and say, oh yeah, I don't think you're Islamic enough, show me. Or I don't think you're Christian enough or Jewish enough, so show me, prove it to me. You don't have to prove your religious state to anybody. Doesn't matter. And if your beliefs are something where you don't want to take an injection and you don't want to have someone stick something inside of you, that's up to you and nobody else. Not the government, not your boss, nobody else. If it comes across where you're putting an extra burden or inconvenience to other people and giving them an unfair workload because of something, that's kind of different, because now you're just, denying responsibility. But if it comes to any kind of injection, that's up to you. And we've come so far in this world, and in this nation, I should say, with injections and pushing it on people, that it's actually become quite tyrannical and disturbing, to be honest. If you have a vaccination, that's up to you. You not taking a vaccination will not affect somebody else, and it's important because, it's like if you're trying to get healthy and you're trying to work out, you can't tell other people to work out so your exercise works for you. That doesn't make any sense. Your health is your health and your body alone, nobody else's. It's important that we don't fall for these magical terms and these stretching of the truths and these mind games and mind gymnastics that people try to pull over on you by trying to convince you of crazy stuff because they're good at speaking. Remember that nobody has the right to force you to do something if it doesn't affect somebody else. And to tell people that you are now a hazard to other people because you choose not to do something is an absolute lie. Don't fall for it. You don't have to listen to anybody else tell you what to do. You have to remember, too, that these vaccinations are a money-making scheme. All the money that has been invested into the production of this, the grants that have been laid out, this is all a money-making operation in reality. Think about all the threats and that have come down to people to coerce them into taking something. And I'm not going to say that they don't work, because there's been some data that has shown that it does work, but the effectiveness is questionable. How effective something is, especially if we're seeing many of these people who have taken this vaccination end up sick, and they're called breakthrough cases. Is it really breakthrough, or is it like becoming common that people are getting reinfected after they've been vaccinated, or even infected for the first time after vaccination? You also have to realize that, yes, some of these are placebo shots, and they've openly stated that a lot of these are placebo. And I believe it was somewhere around 1/3 of these are placebo. So I find it kind of interesting how 2/3 of the people who have gotten vaccinated, even for the first time, have become infected. Now, I'm trailing a little bit off from the topic, and the topic is about your religious beliefs. And it can come down to just your personal beliefs. If you don't think that it's right for you, then there's no way someone can force you into taking it. In fact, it's against the law. It's unconstitutional. So now if we go into this, where it says, citing religious beliefs to avoid the COVID-19 vaccine could cost you your job. Now let's go into this a little bit. Let's read a little bit of this article here. And notice what they put into quotations here. As more employers require their workers get vaccinated against COVID-19, more workers are finding as if they haven't been religious before. And as if there's anything wrong with that anyway. It's like maybe you're seeing a lot of what's going on in the world and you don't feel comfortable with what's happening, and you're genuinely seeking some alternate viewpoints in this world, and that's completely your right. Don't let people try to convince you that the state is a religion and the state is God and Word of God. That's dangerous. That's what you see a lot of other countries doing, like the CCP, where they're trying to get rid of all religion and pretend that, their leaders are divine entities. That's brainwashing cultist stuff. Or rather, sincerely held religious beliefs, in quotes, that they say prevent them from getting the shots. And you can already tell from that first sentence that, or few sentences, that they're mocking this whole idea. So let's just kind of see what they say now that we kind of understand their viewpoint here. Hundreds of Los Angeles firefighters have sought exemption from the city's vaccine mandates for religious or medical reasons, and thousands of Los Angeles Police Department employees are expected to do the same. And they may be leading edge of the wave of workers seeking exemptions, and the federal government is preparing to require employees with 100 or more workers to order vaccinations or weekly coronavirus testing for all employees. This might have already passed, so let's just see what the date on this is. Oh, September 23rd. Okay, so just a few days ago. So this was already after that Biden pushed this federal mandate. But what are the rules surrounding religious exemption? What constitutes a sincerely held belief? Nobody else's business. It's your belief. Like, I believe that no one should force me to get an injection. Am I particularly religious? I don't know. If I identify with any religion, maybe it is Christianity. I was raised Roman Catholic anyway. So that's probably what I identify the most with. Do I believe that Jesus was God? No. Do I particularly believe the stories were literal in the Bible? Not really. I think that the Bible was really moralistic stories that were brought out by moral and immoral behavior, and that's why there's a point to each one of the stories in the Bible, and it's kind of like a guide to how to live life. And do I believe in a God? Yeah, sure. Sure, there could be a God. We could be absolutely made everything, around us to some degree. Of course, people make the things that you see around me, like the motherboard in the background and the camera and all the stuff is all made by people. But it comes down to humans have absolutely no idea what's beyond our physical world here. So there absolutely could be a God, and I believe that if there is a God, and the God that exists would definitely not allow some other human to tell me what I can put inside my body or not. So my absolute sincere belief is that no, I can refuse any injection I want to in my life, and nobody can force me to. And if a job requires it, I think that's illegal, first of all. And second of all, then adios. See you later. No one's going to force me to take anything that I want. In fact, I essentially retired from my work. I was an audio engineer for about 20 years in New York, and now most of these places, if not all, they're requiring people to take vaccinations and shots. Some of them are kind of looking the other way, which is respectable. But I refuse to be a part of that lab rat test, and I'm part of the control group, and I'm going to keep it that way. So I'm not going to sign up for these jobs that require me to take these vaccinations or anything else. In some cases, would I wear a mask? Yeah, out of respect for some other people. Especially the elderly and stuff, but is it my choice? Absolutely. Do I walk around in stores and shops when I go shopping with a mask? No, I don't, and no one's going to force me to. Not a single person is going to make me wear my mask, and that's not going to happen if they try to. And if anyone lays their hand on me, they're going to have some broken bones. That's all I know. So that's where I stand. So my sincere religious belief is I will absolutely not take this experimental drug that was created in a rush with no long-term side effect studies, and the majority of people being their test run subjects. So that's what I refuse. So now let's go to a different page, because this one does it pretty well. I'm going to put this in the link, and I'm going to kind of run through this, since I've already kind of went over, how I feel and, some of the points in the Constitution and stuff, and law. I'm going to go over some of this, and then we can call it a shoot, call it a video. So if you're an employer requiring COVID-19 vaccine for employees during return to the office, you have the important task of abiding by interactive process when handling imminent accommodation requests by employees who cannot receive the vaccine. Currently, there are 2 legally recognized exemptions from mandatory vaccines for employees. Mandatory vaccines. They're, first of all, I'll be completely honest, is in my belief they're not vaccines. They're just called vaccines because they have a poor efficacy rate. Vaccines are supposed to work and prevent you from getting sick, and if you are sick, it's supposed to get rid of your sickness. Otherwise, there's no point in it. So currently there are 2 legally recognized exemptions for mandatory vaccines for employees: disability-related reasons and sincere held religious beliefs. Notice how there's no quotations here. That's how you know this website's a little bit more sincere than the Los Angeles Times. While there may be a healthy balance of exemption requests premised on both of these issues, this guide specifically focuses on some frequently asked questions, whatever. What should our mandatory vaccine policy say with regard to religious exemption? The policy distributed to employees should reference the religious exemption and how it provides an exemption to the mandatory vaccination policy, and include any relevant definitions. Specifically, the policy can explain that a sincerely held religious belief is a belief that can either be theistic or a moral and ethical belief as to what is right and wrong. So that right there is telling you it's your personal preference and your personal belief on your ethical practices as a human being, an autonomous being. That's what that means. And both are acceptable if they are sincerely held. And I guess the only way to really judge if someone's sincere or not is if someone says something and then they obviously do something that's the opposite in front of your eyes. Then you could kind of be like, wait a second, did you just lie to me? But still, that's no exemption as to telling someone they can get a vaccine, because realistically, if they still say no, they don't want it, then they obviously, that's their belief. Are they going to lie to you just for the sake of lying to you and put their health in danger just because they want to lie to you? No, obviously that person feels that way specifically, and there's no way to force them. This is where you start getting into the craziness of this whole situation. It's like you need to go and write letters, and you can read through this yourself, because honestly I kind of just want to talk about the logistics of this entire situation that's going on, and how it makes absolutely no sense. This government is just literally trying to find ways to fool you and trick you and to talk you into submission to taking their product because they want to make money, and the investors have money invested into this and they don't want to lose money. It's really insanity. It's kind of like when we have the government trying to bail out Wall Street, banking companies, and firms, because what they've done was illegal and they've stolen people's money in some large Ponzi scheme, which is essentially what this is. You know, except instead of playing with money, they're playing with people's lives and livelihood, and then they threaten you and they threaten your family and they hold you for ransom with shutting down the system and shutting down the economy and refusing to let cargo ships dock into the bay and refuse deliveries. And it's just so chaotic to the point where this is an attack against people. You know, this is not something scientific. This is a literal attack against people and forcing them to take this, because what are they doing now? They're trying to make people take daily COVID pills next. That's what they're going to do next. Instead of the vaccine, and then they're going to have weekly and monthly boosters. On top of that, they're going to have a daily COVID pill. Watch this. Daily COVID pill could treat COVID. Could be just months away. COVID-19 pill developers aim to top Merck Pfizer efforts. A pill to treat COVID-19. We're talking about a return or to maybe normal life. See that? To maybe normal life. This is what they're doing. They're lying to you. They are trying to fool you. And let's just click on a couple of these. Let's open this one. Let's just open a couple of them, you know? Let's see what's going on here. You know? All right, let's go here. A daily pill to treat COVID could be just months away. At least 3 promising antiviral treatments for COVID-19 are being tested. What is going on here? And then we go to NBC News. At least 3 promising antivirals could prevent symptoms prevent symptoms and limit transmission of COVID-19 are in clinical trials. So they're testing these already. There's going to be no return to normal. Do you think let's talk about this logically for a second. Do you think if people expected this to just go away, they'd be coming out with and putting millions and millions into daily pills? You think they'd be going into these manufacturing efforts if they thought this was going to go away? It's like, obviously they want this to just be a regular business. They want to scare people into taking medications that they create. Because not only are they going to make it so you're dependent on them, but once you're dependent on these, and you take these every day, that means that there's no way these businesses can go out of business. Because you need to supply everybody with these constantly. You need to keep producing them. How is a company going to go out of business if their threat is the health of people? If they go out of business, that means everyone might get infected and or die. They're not going to put that to risk. This is all planned. This is absolutely insane. And now they're attacking your religious beliefs and saying you have to prove to us that you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. You have to show us papers and documents and prove it to us, and we'll be watching you. And if you make any mistakes, we're going to say you're not religious, and we're going to tell you what your beliefs are. And then we're going to reprimand you for it and punish you, and then we're going to force you to take this, or you're not going to have anything in your life. You're not going to be... And then this is the whole thing where the cryptocurrencies and stuff get involved. Right now, the government is trying to... there's so many topics I want to cover. In fact, that might be my next one. My next video that I'm going to do after this is going to be about digital currency and the dangers of digital currency and what's happening with technology. But you can see this. And then what else are they going to do? Here's another one. And you could look up all of these, because I'm pulling up so many now that I'm not going to need to put all these in the description below. Now, let's see. mRNA in food. Edible vaccines. Scientists studying potential of, let's open this, of leafy greens as homegrown mRNA factories. They're trying to put this in your food. And it's going to start off where it's open about it. Then they're going to start producing this food where you don't know if it is or not. And they probably likely won't even have to mention it on the label. So you're going to be forced to eat this stuff. Even if it's against your religion, you're going to be forced to eat their medicine. Medicine. Like, what's going on here? Rice. Oh no, that's something else. So we get rid of that one there. Let's open this one. Salad vaccines. Mad scientists want to grow mRNA COVID vaccines in genetically modified lettuce so you can eat spike protein. I like the way they wrote this. Bioweapons as required by government. I like the way they did that. That's funny. But let's go to this one. Why do they want to put mRNA technology in your lettuce? Like, you can look up all the stuff for yourself. This is their plan. You know? Like, what's going on here? Let me get that out of the way to make it easier. Let me show you something crazy here. You want to see what's going on with HSBC? Tell me this isn't weird. What is this? Your data, your DNA will be your data. And they have a fingerprint right there with a QR code. The future is full of opportunity. As we just went over the stuff they're going to put in your food. What's going on here? And then we go here. He did everything right. Oklahoma teacher still contracts COVID-19 despite having 3 Pfizer shots. What is that? That one's pretty funny. Democrats, unvaccinated Americans. Look what you made me do. Basically, that's domestic abuse. That's the definition right there. Teacher received 3 Pfizer shots. Required masks in classroom. Hospitalized from COVID. Like, do you see what's going on here? This is absolutely crazy. And then check out the people who are in charge of your health. Look how healthy these people look. Those people are really healthy, aren't they? UK health minister, the Belgium health minister, US health advisor. That's a man. That is a man right there. That's in charge of your health? And look at this ghost of a woman. Los Angeles health minister. These people are telling you what's healthy, and they're saying that your religion and your beliefs are not good enough? What? What? This is insane. This is what happens in today's world. So I'm gonna put that link I just showed you. I might throw a couple of those other links in there down in the description below. And I want you to go over to see what they're telling you what religious exemption is and what you have to do in order to prove to them that you need to be religious in order to not take the vaccine. No one can tell you you are religious, and you don't have to prove your religion to anybody. That's the whole point of religion, is something personal for you to practice and for you to believe. What are they going to say is, oh no, you're not religious, so now we have to inject you. It's like, really? They're going to tell you you're religious or not? This is anti-constitutional. This is against the First Amendment. Keeping church and state separate. The state cannot tell you if you are religious or not. No one else has the right to question that and then tell you that you're not and tell you what your beliefs are just so they can inject you with something so they can continue making money. This is a product. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you and kind of show you the logic behind this. Remember, religious exemption is up to you and nobody else. Don't fall for it. You can do whatever you want in your life. We live in America, and I feel bad for a lot of other people in other countries who don't have the rights we do. But remember, you have the right to defend yourself and from a tyrannical government with deadly force. That's why we have the Second Amendment. It's not for hunting. It's not your right to own a gun for hunting. It's for your right to fight back a tyrannical government. A government that's infringing on your rights. You have the right to defend yourself with deadly force. That's what it is. So remember that. So keep your weapons clean. Make sure you got your ammo. Make sure you got your guns and your weapons to defend yourself from any threat. And I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. So take care, guys. Peace. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.